Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Teeing Off with RevSportz. Yesterday, we saw great action of between bat and ball between India and England, and it reminded us all of why we love Test cricket. We'll get to discussing all of that, but first, let me introduce my guests: G. Rajaraman, Ishan Shahane, and Bharat Ramraj, and I am Gargi Raut, your host. Raja, starting off with you, a special mention goes to Yashasvi Jaiswal in the match. What impression has that double century left on you?
Fantastic knock, given the fact that the next highest score in that first innings was 34. For somebody to score a double hundred and then shoulder the responsibility of taking India close to the 400 run mark. Terrific effort from the young batter. Uh, Made a very strong impression with his temperament. He would have been disappointed with what happened in Hyderabad and how he felt there, but he made up for that with a spectacular effort in Visakhapatnam. It is called the City of Destiny, and I think he's made his own destiny in Vizag.
What a way to phrase that. Ishan, with Yashasvi Jaiswal being so young, he's definitely not, paving the way, but also inspiring youngsters to take the Test cricket route. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're so right, Gargi, because he's someone who's been playing domestic cricket. He's someone who's moved up the ranks pretty fast. And it's an inspiring journey because we all know the background he's come from. So for someone like Jaiswal to go out there, get a 200, it's just a commendable effort. And there's so many youngsters who are playing the IPL, who are in the Indian squad as well, whether it's Sarfaraz, who are looking at Jaiswal and seeking inspiration and probably hoping that even he gets a chance. So like Sarfaraz, there are plenty others who aren't in the Indian squad at the moment, but seeking inspiration from Jaiswal. So we need people like Jaiswal and players like Jaiswal to come out and perform because it's the youngsters and it's performances like this that keep Test cricket alive. So I totally agree with you there.
And Bharat, Ashwin is just one wicket away from 500 Test wickets. He's been the epitome of spin in Test cricket in India.
Yeah, Ashwin obviously, as you know, has been called a scientist for a long period of time. It has his own experiments that goes around the wicket, goes over the wicket, little bit of drift, little bit of slider sometimes. So he keeps working on the batsman. In certain conditions, especially in India, it's just another level, and in other conditions as well, he has bowled well. So yeah, 500 Test wickets definitely deserves. I think he can even get, depending on fitness. I'm not sure because obviously he's getting older now. So depending on fitness, he can even go up to 600 Test wickets. I'm sure he has another couple of years, at least 2-3 years in him.
And we have something special prepared for him, so take a look.
There are few like Ravichandran Ashwin. Each time India needs a wicket, and it's now been the story for over a decade, all the captain needs to do is go to Ravichandran Ashwin on home soil. Against left-handers, he's a tormentor. You ask any left-hander in the world and they will say Ravichandran Ashwin running in is an absolute nightmare. Guile, passion, commitment to his cause, variation, and of course skill, Ravichandran Ashwin is less to no one. Soon to be the second Indian to 500 Test wickets among spinners, he is in a league of his own. We have now lost count as to how many Test matches he has won for India and how many series he has led India to victory in. But in doing so, one thing has stayed constant, and that is his passion for the game. Each time you talk to Ashwin, that is what comes out. Take a listen.
Like a lot of people through my life have said that I overthink, and I agree, I overthink. But as an individual inside myself, I can break down this overthinking to a very, very small fragment. Because I think about the game like, I realize that I think about the game like no one else does. A lot of people might want to switch off from, from watching the game after they've played it, after they've practiced. But I keep watching myself bowling. I keep watching how other batters are going about their business. For example, when Steve Smith came to India, and he had that wonderful series in 2016-17. Ever since 2016-17, I've watched Steve Smith like a madman. How he made those runs, what he does differently. Why am I not catching certain small cues? See, I think as a bowler, what makes me get those wickets are not my skill or not just my plans. It's that very innate understanding of what a batsman is doing at the last moment and change my bowling according to it at the point of release. And with Steve Smith, I found out that I was not picking those cues that he was giving me. So I had to like get really obsessed with him. There is a movie in Tamil where they say, tell me who your enemy is, I'll tell you your character. Generally we say, we'll show your friends, I'll tell you who you are. But that really stuck out to me. Like, I connect movies with life, what the storyline is saying and all that. And I realized that I must make obsession of people that I'm not able to get the better of. So I make a very, very clear and earnest attempt of the big dogs and opposition, go to a very, very small detail of how they are doing certain things, how can I break that pattern and all that. And my duel with him in Australia was anything could be stated as anything by anybody, but for me it was a culmination of what I wanted to achieve all my life.
At 499, the wait is perhaps a few days more, but then the incentive is also a few days longer. Ravichandran Ashwin on the cusp of history will make the Rajkot Test match that much more special. Running in as he sets his sight on an Indian victory and closes in on a fantastic milestone, the third test could also be about Ravichandran Ashwin. When he started out, he did not think about 100, 200, 300 or 400. All he thought was to try and win test matches and test series for India. And in doing so, he scaled peak after peak after peak. Add the number of test hundreds and the number of impactful innings that he has played, and you will know that you are talking about a once-in-a-generation player. Someone who has given us joy and left us in awe. Someone we love to celebrate. One of the most revered and one of the most talented in the annals of our cricket. He spoke to us about his tremendous commitment to the sport, something which gives a sneak peek into how his mind works. As we celebrate Ravi Ashwin, we leave you with Ashwin talking about his skill and his craft, the master speaking about his mastery over the red ball. Take a listen as we celebrate Ravi Ashwin.
I woke up, I said tomorrow will be a better day. The sun will race, but Ashwin should be prepared for that sun racing and fighting on the field.
Raja, what has been your impression of baseball and the way that the English team is approaching this series?
See, I was told Brendan McCullum himself does not like the term baseball. And I think he's tried to explain why. England played very positive cricket. They look like they wanted to chase the 400-run target in the fourth innings. And they have been very good at that. I think this is only the third time in the last couple of years that England has lost batting in the fourth innings. But their approach really baffled me, primarily the one of Joe Root. From the first ball, he was trying to dominate the bowling with very unusual strokes. I mean, Joe Root plays all those shots. He's got some shots all around the wicket, but he was in a tearing hurry. And I think that hurt England a lot. So baseball by itself may not be a bad thing, but you have to play according to situation. You have to play according to what the demands of the match are. And I think England sometimes went overboard with this passion for baseball. But while it is great entertainment, the result is sometimes contrary to what they want. They have to find a balance between entertainment and result. So they would need to do some rethink and ensure that baseball has got a redefinition sooner than later.
Ishan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's been put beautifully. It's about playing smart cricket at the end of the day as well, Gagi. So obviously the baseball technique did work, and it has worked for them in the past. It worked for them in the first test as well. So obviously it's something that is working for them. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time around, and that's due to the reason of not playing smart cricket. Like Raja Raman mentioned here, that Joe Root is a senior player. He should have taken more responsibility in that innings. If he played longer, possibly a partnership could have been built. And once a partnership is built, we've seen the Indians feel the pressure. They tend to crumble. So who knows? If that partnership was built, if smarter cricket was played, then the game could have well and possibly been on England's side here. So unfortunately, things didn't work out for them. Joe Root was fairly careless, and that didn't turn out to be the best situation for them. But at the end of the day, it's about playing smart cricket and reading the game well, because at times you might be required to play that sort of approach, that aggressive approach, and at times you have to understand that it's time to take a step back and read the game and possibly take a more defensive approach. So I think that's where they went wrong. Overall, I think we should look to take a balanced approach when they look to get out and play the next test match.
And a lot of people tend to believe that uh, baseball may not work in Indian conditions because of the nature of the wickets. But Bharat, what are your thoughts about it?
First of all, not too sure about that word. I think what England have done is they've allowed the players to just play freely. It's not like Sven Stokes keeps saying he's not asking every player to play in a certain way. They've just allowed them to play freely. I remember before the first test against Pakistan in 2022, Brendan McCullum was after that. He said it was like before the two openers, Ben Duckett and Zach Cravley went out to bat. They were just trying to joke around, just trying to keep it atmosphere very relaxed. I think that's what England are trying to do, honestly. As far as Joe Root is concerned, see one thing with Joe Root is I think he's trying to match other batters, other English batters. I think that is where it is going against him. Somehow it feels like he wants to match some of the other batters. He can just play his own game and he will still get have a strike rate of 70, 80. So that is what I think his problem is. As far as in Indian conditions, one thing I would say in Indian conditions, you keep defending in Indian conditions, especially with DRS around. At some point against Indian spinners, the quality of Indian spinners, you will get out LBW. 100% sure. We saw that even with Joe Root, was batting on 10 or 12. It showed that the umpire's call, it was umpire's call. It could have gone either way. About 15, 20 years ago, that particular defensive shot, 100%, it would have been given not out. And even if with the Zach Cravley thing, umpire gave it not out. It seemed like not out to me as well, but it showed that 3 reds. So in this day and age, especially against Indian spinners, with DRS around, I think attack is the right way to go, but they somehow have to find the little bit of balance, especially someone like Joe Root, who's England's best batsman. I think he's just trying to match other English batters and getting out.
And Raja, what do you think about the strategy of the England team going to Dubai to practice and get used to the conditions?
I think it's a good idea given the fact that England itself, conditions may not be the best for them to prepare for a tour of India. So I think the closest they could get to was Dubai. They've done this before. It's not the first time they've chosen Dubai as a training center for them just before they came to the subcontinent. But it's very critical that the tracks there are going to be vastly different from what they would have expected in India. Now, come to think of it, Gargi, the tracks on offer in Hyderabad and in Visakhapatnam were very different to what they and their media have been expecting. They've been expecting spin pitches that would assist spinners from the second hour or the third hour. They haven't got that. I think the Visakhapatnam pitch was very good to bat on. So long as you had concentration, so long as you could keep your focus sharp and continue to bat as per the demand of the situation and on the merit of the ball. We got to see that with Shubman Gill in the second inning. He played a very scrappy first 25-30 runs, but after that he took control and he was on the money. And in the first inning, we got to see Yashasvi Jaiswal do that. So it is, and for England, Crawley had 2 half centuries. He showed that it is possible not just to play attacking shot, but also to to defend pretty well. And he did a great job of defending the ball that were keeping low. I think even the last ditch partnership that we saw between Ben Foakes and Hartley showed that if you play smart cricket, as Ishan pointed out, you could have made a match of it. I think England kind of lost it in the mind in this test match, especially after being bowled out by the wonderful Jasprit Bumrah in that first innings.
And England is heading back to Dubai before the third test to continue their practice. Here's Shubha Chakravarti with all the details.
Following the conclusion of the second test in Vizag, where India staged a remarkable comeback to level the series 1-1, the touring England team is set to retreat to their pre-series base in Abu Dhabi for a crucial 10-day break. During this period, players, including captain Ben Stokes, plan to unwind themselves with some golf and family time before making their return to India 3 days before the start of the third test in Rajkot, which is scheduled to begin on February 15. The decision to head back to Abu Dhabi reflects the team's strategic approach to utilize the break between tests for rest and rejuvenation, though some on social media are questioning the move as India have everything available at their hem. This comes after the second test ended a day early in Vizag, allowing England to regroup and focus on the challenges posed by the Indian team. In the anticipation of the highly competitive test series against India, England had chosen an extensive conditioning camp in Abu Dhabi instead of opting for early practice matches in the subcontinent. The camp primarily focused on refining strategies to effectively handle the Indian spinners, a key aspect considering the conditions. Despite clinching victory in the series opener, the English batters faced formidable challenges in the second test. The brilliance of Jasprit Bumrah's reverse swing in the first innings and the disciplined performance of the Indian bowling unit in the second innings helped India defeat England to level the series. It was the first time England under Stokes and McCallum lost a test against an Asian side. The break in Abu Dhabi becomes not just a physical respite, but a strategic opportunity for England to analyse and adapt their game plan before the crucial third test in Rajkot. What do you think of England's move to head back to Abu Dhabi for a break? Do let us know in the comment section below and keep following RevSportz for more.
Ishan, you talked to Jude Menezes recently. Tell us about the highlight of that interview.
Yeah, Gagi, just a great interview once again. I think it's really a privilege to be speaking to such experienced athletes. He's been a former international hockey player and he's currently the coach of the Japanese women's hockey team that beat India in Ranchi. So he was telling me about the experience that that took place in that match and how it felt winning. So overall, just a great interview. And again, I think it's just a privilege and honor to be speaking to such athletes because they give us such a broad spectrum of how sport is actually played and possibly the behind the scenes that take place. So just fantastic. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot more.
Well, here's a little sneak peek from Ishan's exclusive interview with Jude Menezes. Take a look.
The place where I grew up in Mumbai, Orlem, had a lot of hockey players. So growing up, it was something that you just did every evening.
Yeah.
And then slowly got into it. And then I got fortunate. I got a lucky break for Tata Sports Club, which was a premier team at that time. I was 16 years old, and so that sort of really got me into it. And haven't stopped since.
It's absolutely inspiring. And I have a question to ask you, Jude. Were the facilities enough back then? Are you happy with the progression that you're seeing in the country at the moment, or still not as satisfied?
Back then, there were no facilities.
Okay.
So you really had to struggle through and, almost find your way.
Yes.
What I'm seeing now is there's a lot of structure, very organized, funding coming in through the Odisha government. So that makes a big difference for the athletes and for the sport. So I think the game has come a long way in India, and I think it's going to go further.
Absolutely. I think we all can hope for the same. Jude, what would you say is your biggest career highlight at the moment? Is it the Olympics?
Yeah, it's everybody's dream to represent your country at the Olympic Games. So, I think the Sydney Olympics was probably the highlight of my career.
That's it from us for this conversation. We're building up to the RevSportz Trailblazer Conclave, and Nicolo Campriani will be one of the guests over there. Take a look.
He was forever Abhinav Bindra's rival. As a shooter, both of them clashed at Olympic stage. One time, it was Abhinav, and then Nico had his turn thereafter. But after their careers were over, the two became very good friends. Nicolo Campriani and Abhinav Bindra led the refugee project that impacted lives and left an indelible mark on sport. Since then, he has gone on to join the LA 28 organizing committee for the 2028 Olympic Games, and interestingly played a part in the inclusion of cricket in the LA program. Joining us, he will tell us about his stellar career, his friendship with Abhinav, the refugee project, and of course, the LA 28 program. Presenting speaker for the Trailblazers Conclave 2.0, Nicolo Campriani.